Hey guys, Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker here, and Panasonic just announced the S1H, which is their full-frame video camera. Now, when the S1 and S1R were first announced, I held off on it because I thought, a video version is probably coming. I just didn't think it was coming this quick. Now, this is a development announcement, so it's not full, it's not final. They're still working out certain things, but they've revealed a couple of the features. And I'm going to talk about those features as well as my speculations of what they can mean, and as well as whether or not this camera is for me, for you, or who is this camera for. Without further ado, let's get started. They're aiming for a fall release date, which is coming up quite soon. So hopefully in the next couple months, we're going to get the full set of specs of what this camera has. They're targeting a $4,000 price tag, which I know is going to turn off a lot of people, including myself, but I do know why they're doing this, and this camera is probably most likely not for you or me. Lastly, they have the full built-in vlog. We already knew that was coming. V-Gamut is in there. There's a 4:3 6K shooting mode, so you can get an insanely detailed anamorphic shot, or you can shoot in 6K open gate, so you have an opportunity to reframe a shot, or if you need to do post-production stabilizing, you'll be able to do it with no problem. You also get 4K 60, and these are all unlimited recording. And they talked about heat dissipation, which is one key factor that I want you to hold on to for now. Lastly, the director of photography, Alicia Robbins, that they brought on to kind of crash course this camera, she talked about how much pull she was able to do with the colors in the vlog and V-Gamut, and how awesome that was for her. She shot in 3200 ISO as well as 10,000 ISO, and she's even purposely underexposed some shots down to 4 stops under. And she was saying how when she lifted the shadows back up, that some grain was there, but she had the ability to do it in Premiere Pro, and she did some denoising, which was nothing out of the ordinary. And quite honestly, I'm not surprised either, and I'm not going to get all jumpity about it, because Panasonic traditionally has never had the super clean image. That weird grain that they had has always been there. So I'm not going to go crying about the fact that grain is there at 10,000 ISO. Not a big deal. So, some speculations. They talked about the body needing to be bigger to dissipate heat, but I don't think it's because of IBIS. I think it's because they needed something to sustain a 6K 4:3 or a 6K or 4K 60p unlimited recording. I think that's where the heat dissipation is coming from, and it's not because that IBIS is included. So even though this is speculation, I'm kind of going to assume that IBIS is not in this thing. Another speculation is we don't actually know what codecs were in it, what Alicia Robbins was actually shooting. Was she shooting it to an external recorder? Probably, but I would be extremely surprised if there's some sort of uncompressed codec that you can do internally, and it's probably going to go to CFast cards if that's the case. That's my best guess. We don't actually know what card slots are in there, whether it's a dual card slot or a single card slot. We don't know. These are the things that I'm wondering about. Hopefully in the next couple months we're going to know. But I think it would be amazing if there is some sort of uncompressed codec in there, and that's why the price is $4,000, because I don't know, could ProRes RAW be in there? We don't know. Anyways, with all that out of the way, who is this camera for exactly? I'm going to tell you right now, at $4,000, it's not for me, and it's most likely not for any independent filmmaking shooters that are on a budget. What this camera is for those major productions, because this camera to them is going to be the most insane crash cam they've ever had. So if their production is already using Vericams, Ava 1s, having something like this in this form factor to replicate the color science of the Ava and the Vericams, this is their crash cam. This is them saying, okay, we're moving to the next set. However, person over there, Chris, take the S1H, put this lens on it, put it on a Ronin, and let's get that shot, because we're moving on, but we need you to stay back and grab some shots. That's what this camera's for. Something for them to immediately grab something without using the principal cameras while still replicating that color science, which means I have to assume that this might actually be okay for Netflix, maybe. But that being said, at $4,000, guys, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. That's the one you're going to go for. If you're going to look for an insane amount of color detail as well as latitude and dynamic range and push, the Blackmagic is where you want to go. Smaller sensor size, but that's still where you want to go. All right. The one thing now is, I know this camera is not for me, but I've wanted a full frame camera for a while, but didn't want to jump to Sony specifically because of mixing everything up. I'd rather just stick with one brand, and Panasonic has been my friend for most of it. This now means I'm going to get the Panasonic S1 at some point, not right now, at some point for my full frame camera, and I'm going to get the paid upgrade, firmware upgrade, which they did talk a little bit more about. It's going to come in at $200, which I know is going to, again, piss off some people, but it really shouldn't. It's going to give you the V-Log, the V-Gamut, full V-Log, they said, and it's going to give you waveforms. So waveforms is coming. We don't know about vector scopes. Waveforms is coming. You'll get your internal 422 10-bit at 30p, and then 422 10-bit 60p through the HDMI output. Now, with all that in there, the total price of an S1 plus the upgrade is going to be somewhere around $2,700, which puts it pretty darn close to where the A7S lineups have traditionally been, somewhere close to the $3,000 mark. So now the question is what is Sony going to do in terms of their A7S III? Are they going to give you 10-bit? Are they going to give you the waveforms? Are they going to, I don't know, try to match feature for feature against the Panasonic S1 with a paid upgrade? Because if they don't, then you're basically going to get a really awesome full frame camera out of the S1 with a paid upgrade. And the reason I'm going to go with the S1 is because it's essentially what the GH5S, what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be awesome in low light at higher ISOs if I need to push it, and I wanted to have IBIS, which both of those features are within the S1, and I get the added benefit of a full frame sensor. And of course, the last thing of why I wanted the S1 is because that one would technically be my crash cam, if you will. Somewhere where I need just that extra shallow depth of field for certain shots. And I've been wanting to do my vintage lens reviews forever, but I thought it was absolutely not in the favor of the lens for me to put it on a GH5 sensor. I should definitely put it on a full frame sensor. So that being said, the S1H is very interesting, and I think this further excites me for what the GH6 could be doing. So some of these awesome features might trickle down, or some of these ideas might trickle down. So I'm hoping the GH6 announcement, whenever that's going to be, is going to be awesome. They're not going to cripple it, and hopefully keep it under the $2,000 mark. Because in one of their slides, they included the GH as part of their professional lineup. So Vericam, Ava, S series, and then GH series. So they are thinking about this. So the GH is going to be some very, very, very mini version of their Ava lineup. So I'm excited to see what happens. If not, I'm not going to worry about it because the GH5 is still in an insane value. And when the GH6 gets announced, then the GH prices are going to drop like hotcakes. And I'll be very excited to invest into more of them if I need more cameras. But anyways, that's my initial thoughts, my speculations of what the S1H has done and who it's for. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. But until then, we need to wait to see what other features are going to be revealed once they actually do the formal announcement. Anyways, until then, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.